The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Wednesday. And
I've forgotten what it's like to be in this studio.
That's right. We had a long weekend and a holiday on Monday, and here we are. And but as usual, we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, well, you know, the first thing I want to talk about, and I mean, this was published on the 17th, which was Sunday, was something that we talked about prior to the Herald News coming out with this, and Will Richmond came out with the stats behind what Mayor Correa had spoken about in regards to the substance abuse coordinator. But you know, one of the things which I really loved is that Aguiar has been collecting a part-time paycheck from the City of Fall River for some time, in addition to the money he gets paid full-time at Star. But I think one of the really big things here is that when you start looking at, you know, because remember, we had this with another mayor, all about data, all about the analytics, all about the numbers. Let me know what the numbers are. I need to know what the numbers are. Well, let me tell you what the numbers are. The information presented by the mayor at his press conferences showed that the addition of a substance abuse coordinator, more specifically the gentleman who's currently doing the job for Star and part-time for the City of Fall River, has been totally ineffective, because while this man has been on the job, the numbers have gone up. So again, we know that this is good money wasted on bad. Because again, what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. So there you go, Mr. Mayor. Meanwhile, the mayor is truly not watching our show today, unless he's watching us online, because he's in Washington, D.C., you know, mucking with all the other mayors in the country.
Mucking. Well, let me weigh in on this, okay? Right from the get-go, I've said, and I have to disagree with Will Richmond, not about the fact that the stats don't support the mayor's selection, but you know, Will Richmond goes on. It says in the article about getting a different person to fill the job, and he feels that the job. Listen, the reality is Fall River should not be in this business. We don't have enough money to pay for fire and police, and every time we create a new position in ordinance for 6 figures or nearly 6 figures for political patronage jobs and for more administrators, every time we run out of money, the first thing they do is attack public safety and say we're going to lose services. And I'll get to that later. But the fact is, listen, the governor is earmarking even more money for opioid addiction because, let's face it, all his friends work in the healthcare industry. He made all his millions in the healthcare industry.
No.
So he's going to, this is a great platform for him. He can be an advocate and spend billions of dollars that all go into the pockets of all his buddies in the healthcare industry. So I'm, you know, am I questioning his altruism? Absolutely. But the fact is, we have federal and state programs. We have programs within the City of Fall River like Star, which is ironic because they want to hire a guy who's already doing a job that he's going to do for the City of Fall River, not being paid by the City of Fall River. So why pay him? It's absurd. The whole concept is absurd. We've got enough fiscal problems without creating more jobs for our friends. There are other people who do this. There are other, and like I said, what are we going to open next? A used car lot? The City of Fall River used car lot? It's absurd. We've got to cut government. We've got to shrink government and prioritize government and start spending our money where it belongs on services. And the first word out of every city councilor's mouth every time we have a shortfall is, we're going to have to reduce services. And I'm going to get to that later. So that's it on that. Look, the job should not exist, in my opinion, and that's my opinion. The job should not exist regardless of who fills it. And do we have a problem? Yes, but there are people addressing this problem. They're addressing it on a national scale. The President of the United States is dealing with the problem. Whether it's the effective way to deal with it or not is a matter of opinion. I don't think it is. But the fact is, it's being dealt with. And the last place we should have any kind of substance abuse prevention coordinator is in the city of Fall River.
Hey, I'm a firm believer in Darwinism, okay? I'm sorry, but, it's just amazing how, people find their little pet project, their little thing that, ooh, this is a hot button issue and we have to address it. And we see this on the national level with Donald Trump. We see this, on the national level with Hillary Clinton. We've seen it with the president. And it's not effective. It's not effective.
Listen, we all know that government loves to latch on to things to create an entire new industry. And that industry is all populated by political ass kisses who get jobs. And that's the reality. We saw it with the military-industrial complex. Now we see it with drugs. I mean, police departments make their money over make tons of money with grants. They make tons of money from drug forfeitures and seizures. This has become an institution that's part of the national economy. It affects so many areas. The rehab facilities that make millions, the hospitals that make millions. This has become a growth industry. So rather than deal with it by doing what they do in other countries, which is taking care of the people who deal it and make sure they're serving long and very difficult sentences, because, as I said, the irony is most of the countries that produce these drugs don't have major drug problems. They don't have the issues we do with drug addiction in a lot of these countries. And some of these countries even legalize drugs. But if you legalized it, you wouldn't make as much money as you do by having all these ancillary industries that are attached to these things. And now, like you said, they found a new industry. And as I said, do I question, our governor was in the healthcare business. And this is a multi-billion-dollar industry for the healthcare industry. I mean, the cost of rehab centers is astronomical. It's absolutely astronomical. And when you have rehab centers like in West Palm Beach, Florida, and it's like people go down to West Palm Beach and spend, I don't know, there was one rehab center that I think the ticket was $3,000 a day.
Yeah.
$3,000 a day, people, a day. $3,000 a day for the rehab. So you figure if you got a 30-day stint, do the math.
And the thing is that Massachusetts is one of the very few states that pays for rehab. You go to states like Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, anywhere in the Midwest, you pay for your rehab. You pay for it. $16,000 for a week. Not cheap. Not cheap. But those are the people that want to get clean. Those are the people that want help. You know why? Because they found the money to get it. Yeah. But in Massachusetts, even if if you can't afford it because you're putting it all in your arm, Massachusetts will pay the bill. Oh, and by the way, we'll give you welfare food stamps and then put you on SSI.
Which is another, exactly right. See, and this is why, they used to have the old adage they said at the beginning of this nation. They said, "Go west, young man, go west." And now we've created another thing. We've got where people used to run to the suburbs. Now we have drug addicts going north. Go north, young drug addict. Go north, because if you go to the north, as you said, you'll get your rehab paid for, you'll get food stamps, you'll get everything. And we have people from other states coming from states that don't pay the freight, coming to our state because they know the welfare system is better. As you said, they ship them in from Pennsylvania. You know, people come here because this state subsidizes, but it's not the state, it's us.
Well, and you know,
it's the people, our tax money, and again, like this city, what do? They victimize the taxpayer because in this city, the first thing out of their mouth is cut services, cut public safety, and keep all the political jobs.
Well, you know,
as a matter of fact, put them in ordinance so they never go away.
Exactly. Well, you know, it's interesting because at the Martin Luther King breakfast this week, I was there, and I was talking about this issue about how we can improve our economy because at these type of events, a lot of the dirt comes out that they don't want you to know about. And Carol Fiola, who's been adamantly saying publicly, oh no, we've got to have a reduction in public housing, or, you know, we have too much public housing, da da da. And that came out from our show, I don't know how many times, prior to her statement. Because with public housing comes low income. With low income means no disposable income to sustain businesses. And at this breakfast, she turned around and said to me, what are we supposed to do? Tell them not to move here? No, but you don't make it convenient for them to move here. You know what I mean? Hey, I get $227 every 2 weeks in Rhode Island. I'm going to move to Fall River because over there I'll get $327 every 2 weeks.
Yeah, you don't put billboards advertising it either.
Exactly.
You know, when they're driving on the highway, they go, come to Massachusetts and come to Fall River Housing Authority because we'll take care of you. We'll even pay your moving expenses.
Yeah, it's craziness. But you know, now that we're slightly moving away from that, you know, it gets me very aggravated because, again, the Martin Luther King breakfast, a lot of stuff came out. And I found out that Kenny Fiola, Rob Mellion, and the city already knew that Sam's Club was potentially closing almost 60 to 90 days prior to the announcement of their closure. Now, how many times did we hear? We had no idea. We heard nothing. Sam's Club notified the city and the Office of Economic Development back in October. And again, I've been following this with the vice president from them too, and that the Sam's Club in Fall River was in dire need of improvement in sales and numbers. And they were probationary on staying open. And that at this point in time, it looks like that store will close after the first of the year. They didn't wait too long after the first of the year to close it. Why? Because the sales were never there. Why were the sales not there? Because people in Fall River, the majority of people in Fall River, don't have the money to spend on the product. And if you can't sustain a business with disposable income, which Fall River doesn't have, the business won't come here. They stand there and they go, why did Target not come to Fall River? They went to Swansea. Oh, why'd they go to Dartmouth? Why? Because they have disposable income. Fall River does not. And, you know, and Rob Mellion, you know, we kind of pick on him a lot here.
Justifiably so.
Justifiably, maybe. But you know what? He did say something very clear. He says, and not only that, he goes, when you look at the economic situations in Massachusetts, okay, they're required to pay sick benefits. They're required, you know, to pay extraordinary taxes. They're, you know, hey, that's the cost of doing business in Massachusetts, which they're now starting to change a little to attract more businesses.
So does that mean Rob Mellion's in favor of reinstituting slavery? Every benefit costs money. You know, I mean, we did have a time when they used to chain children to the machines. That's probably, it would be very good for business.
Yeah, it would.
But it wouldn't be very good for the society. So, but while you're on that, listen, I have to comment on the total absurdity of the Office of Economic destruction, disaster, and you know, development is a ridiculous euphemism. For Mr. Fiola to say that the economy of Fall River had nothing to do with the closing is an absolute absurdity. Number one, what do you think, why do you think their numbers are down? Why do you think the entire region's number down? This is the most economically depressed region in the state of Massachusetts. If you look at Fall River, New Bedford, Taunton, the wages, we're at the bottom of everything. So, the stores they close throughout the country, if you do a study, you'll probably find out that they're low-income areas because stores don't close chains do not close stores that are making money. It's that simple. And are we really going to allow him to try to perpetrate that lie on the public? And then to add whipped cream, a cherry, and a whole pile of nuts on a Sunday, he then alluded to the fact that they were going to look to place something into that building which would be a direct competitor with Walmart. Really, Ken? Really? Do you think Walmart's going to allow you to open up a supermarket when they have a market in the Walmart? Do you believe they're going to have any kind of competitive business 200 yards away from their front door in their building? Maybe we finally figured out why we haven't developed our economy so much in 20 years. It seems that our Office of Economic Development doesn't even have the most fundamental grasp on reality. That's ridiculous.
Well,
it was funny. I was driving, I was going to the gym with a friend, and I mentioned, the Walmart stuff and about the building, and I mean, this guy is, he was a businessman, and the first thing he said was, "That's ridiculous." He said, "Why? You're not going to put a competitor 200 feet away." And I mean, and he's not in charge of the Office of Economic Development. Common sense, and to say that the economy in Fall River had nothing to do with it. Well, it's like saying the economy in Fall River had nothing to do with all the places that closed. They can't make money. The pizza place on Bedford Street closed. Why? They can't make enough money to pay the rent. And why can't they make enough money to pay the rent? Because people in Fall River don't have a lot of discretionary cash. And there's a million pizza places.
Yeah, we just opened 2 more pizza places.
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
But they're all struggling. Why don't we have a top shelf steakhouse? Why don't we have an Italian restaurant? Guess what? Is they can't survive. Why? And even they're closing a few on Federal Hill. But why can they have 12 Italian restaurants on Federal Hill? They draw from people from all around the area, and they have income and discretionary cash. That's the reason that Newton has 10,000 more businesses than Fall River. We should not have to be explaining that fact, and we should not accept. The Office of Economic Development's propaganda makes Goebel look like a rookie. I'm telling you, it makes him look like an amateur. Goebel was an amateur at propaganda compared to the city of Fall River, its politicians, and its Office of Economic Development. And while we're on the politicians, let's segue into the politicians who talked about governing. I want you to bring me up to speed on that, CJ.
Well, I was talking to several city councilors yesterday in regards to how if people aren't going to agree with them, that the people have a right to override them. And now, remember, these are our elected officials that have no clue whatsoever. Under Division 1 of our city charter, Section 37 through 40, it allows the citizens of the city of Fall River, yes, that's you, believe it or not, that's you, to override and underride anything that the city council, the mayor, or the school committee do. So, in other words, they give us a tax increase. We don't like it, we underride it. And that's under provisions, Section 37 of Division 1, and governed by Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C. Now, the other thing is, you know how we always have fire being the political football at every budget year? How about the time that the people of Fall River stand up and say, no, we want our fire service, because you all say it. Every budget you say, we can't have 175 firefighters. We can't have 153. But none of you do anything about it. Do you know what? You have had your entire life, every time you've opened your mouth and complained and then said, oh, there's nothing for us to do. Under Section 37, you do have something you can do. You can actually propose an ordinance. And if you get the people to sign on, the city council either A, has to institute the ordinance, or B, within 30 days of filing, send it to the vote. Guess what? Some troublemaker, I don't know who this guy might be, but you might know who he is, Chip, okay? Some troublemaker decided to walk into Government Center yesterday with these two things. Do they look awfully familiar? They look like nomination papers or petitions. Guess what? The quote that I received was, how do you expect us to govern the city of Fall River if everything we do is going to be placed on a petition to be overridden? Do what's right and it won't happen.
I have an answer to that question. I have an answer to that question. I expect you to govern in accordance with the Constitution of the state of Massachusetts,
Right.
which you swore allegiance to, among the other constitutions, to the United States when you were sworn into office. And the Constitution clearly states that you govern in accordance with the people. All power ultimately resides in the people. You govern, and I will read you the dictionary definition of government: the act of governing or exercising authority. And then the secondary is the organization that is the governing of authority of a political unit. So you are the authority, but the Constitution then supersedes and reminds you that you are only a representative of the people, and all power resides in the people. So we have an underwrite option, but we also have another option. And I'm going to propose that option right now to the people of Fall River to think about. The next time there's a monetary shortfall in the city of Fall River, and any city councilor that utters the words, we're going to have to cut services, without eliminating every political ordinance job that they've created and will not reduce, is immediately recalled.
Oh my God.
Throw them out of office. If it's close to another election, boot them all out. There is your ultimate power. Because the next city councilor that says there's going to be a reduction in fire and police because we're out of money, and has voted for any political job in ordinance, should be gone. They should be gone immediately. And we keep throwing their butts out until we get people in there who, before they get in office, make a commitment to prioritize the people and the taxpayers of Fall River and deliver them services. And the number one priorities are public safety. That's what you do. That's what you have to do. I am sick and tired of, I spent a career watching fire be used to make people pay. Oh, I have to pay, we'll burn it dead. Well, guess what? Now they're trying to create a new position of substance prevention coordinator, and they wanted to put it in ordinance. Now we have a chief of staff position that we never had before, and they, by the way, we have, we're trying to confirm it, that they've hired another lawyer, part-time, another lawyer to go along with Macy for $92,000. I want to know what this guy's getting paid. We'll check. We'll have it for you on a subsequent show. But they've hired another lawyer. They want a substance abuse coordinator. They've got all these assistants to the assistants to the assistants. And they're going to cut fire without ever eliminating any of these positions that has made this government grow to an inverted pyramid over the past 2 decades. We've got more people walking around the mayor's office than you've got collecting taxes.
Well, we don't collect our own taxes anymore. We send them to Boston.
That's true, and they're getting paid, and they don't even do the job. So listen, we have and I think that CJ's talking about underrides, and he's talking about yeah, you're right. And by the way, this will probably be the first thing they try to throw out in the this ability, and that's the other problem. The government's response to this is to take power away from the people. That's how we always have to defer back to the Constitution of the state, because they're going to try to make it as difficult as possible to recall you. And I believe one of our city councilors said they can't do that. Our friend Linda said they can't do that. Well, they said we couldn't recall a mayor either, and we did. But you know something? If you utter the word cuts in services without cuts in the six-figured factors and getting rid of every damn position that's been put in ordinance over the past 10 years that isn't a direct service position, you're gone. And that's the way to handle it.
Well, Chip, and we were served the line of crap with the reorganizational statements. We only got a couple of minutes left. In dividing DCM into two separate departments, which hasn't yet to be created in ordinance, by the way, but that creates two new positions. And then the listing of jobs I got from some of the employees who were terminated is contested by the sixth floor, saying we haven't notified everybody. I said, are you confirming that these are the individuals? No, there's no confirmation. And I've been requesting regularly for those confirmations. And I received an email again this morning from the sixth floor saying, is this a good phone number to get you at, because I should have some confirmations for you. And I said, oh, yes, this is a good number, so I'm still waiting. But I think the ultimate thing was Mary Sahadi. This is the woman whose organization, known as Haig and Sahadi, CPA Esquires, because both of them are attorneys as well, Esquires, said under oath, and I believe you still have that testimony, Chip, that they never did an audit on the city books. They did a reconciliation. I reconcile my checkbook every month, okay? So we paid them how much money to do a reconciliation, and we never had an audit, and she's touted as the be-all, end-all, and supposedly she's exempt from 30B, which is procurement. So that's going to be an issue that we're drilling down to try to find out right there.
They also testified during that hearing, and it is a certified, it was done by a court stenographer, a professional court stenographer. It was done under oath, and they did testify under oath at the time that they did actually backdate checks from one fiscal year to another, which, by the way, is illegal.
Right.
Because the city's finances were so deplorable. So they testified to doing many things that were not only inappropriate and maybe malfeasant, but illegal.
I'm surprised.
And the thing is that I believe as CPAs, they have a fiduciary responsibility
Yes, they do.
to report things like that, and they did not. So I question the whole, I have always questioned it. This is the reason that I am an adamant supporter of a full forensic audit. Forensic, absolutely, by an outside entity.
It's interesting, though, that during that testimony, none of that was ever given to the Board of Bar Overseers or the licensing authority for the CPA, because by backdating checks, those are criminal acts, and they would lose their licenses and they'd be disbarred.
Yeah,
and they never did anything about that.
Yeah, well, no, I think they picked it up. They didn't do the actual. It was the financial team of the city of Fall River at the time that was doing it.
Well,
but the fact is that I think they're required to report things like that, but I'm not sure if it was. But the only thing we were interested in was finding the $2 million they stole from us.
Yeah, exactly.
So
but that's nothing new for Fall River. Hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Friday, providing we don't get hit with 2 feet of snow. Stay angry.
Stay angry.